We're going to keep completing the square today. Same steps, just new problems. So what's the very first step? Make A 1. Well, what is it right now? It's already 1. A already equals 1, so we're kind of done with that one. Okay, step 2, what do we do for that one? Move C to the other side, so we're going to subtract 36. Having a little trouble writing today. So we get x squared minus 8x equals negative 36. What's step 3? We're going to add b over 2 squared to both sides, but we have to figure out what it is first. So what's b? Negative 8. So negative 8 divided by 2, what's that? Negative 4. What is negative 4 squared? Positive 16. What do we do with that 16? We add it to both sides. So it'll be x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals negative 36 plus 16. It's negative 20. Okay, so step 4. My right side's going to be negative 20. What's my left side going to be? You remember?
X squared is negative 4.
It's
X minus.
It's the number before you squared it. So if you want to, like as you figure that out, like mark it, and then that's what we use. So it'll be x minus 4 squared equals 20. That is probably the hardest step because it's not super logical that you go from here to here. So that's like the point of what we're doing. Any questions at this moment? All right, what's next in step 5? Square root both sides, because remember our goal is to get x by itself. And if we square root both sides, it gets rid of our squared, which is awesome. So what are we left with on the left side?
X minus 4.
Uh-huh.
Equals plus or minus.
Plus or minus, very good. That 20, we can say that that's equal to square root of 20 times square root of negative 1. 20, if we break that down, what do you get? 5 and 4. Break the 4 down. 2 and 2. So what all comes out? 2. What about the square root of negative 1? What does that equal? I square root of 5. We are so close to having x by itself. What do we need to do? Move 4 over to the other side. Always put stuff in front of the plus minus. Leave the plus minus at the back. So we will have x equals 4 plus or minus 2i square root of 5. Those are not like terms. We cannot add them. So that's your answer. It is a lot of work. But you can do it.
I got that boom boom power.
Any questions over that problem? Okay. Then let's do the next problem. This one is not very pretty. Hey, it's not caught up. There we go. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to make a equal 1. So how do we make a equal 1?
Well, first you need to get all the right side of the equal sign and all that.
Oh, okay, so you want to go ahead and move the 6x over to the other side, to where it's with the x squared? Okay, so we'll have 5 x squared minus 6x equals 8. And then for our step 1, Alyssa, how are we going to make the a equal 1?
Divide all terms. I don't know.
Yep, you were right.
Divide all terms by 1?
Divide all terms by a.
By 8.
What does a equal right here?
8. 5.
5. So we need to divide everything by 5. The 5's cancel, and we get x squared minus 6 over 5x equals 8 over 5. I told you this one is not very pretty. Okay, step 2 was what? Move C over. Already done that. Okay. Step 3 is what? B over 2 squared. We got to figure that out and then add it to both sides.
So B is 6.
B is negative 6 over 5. Now our 2, no matter what, is in our denominator. The divided by 2 from right here. So it stays in our denominator here. We're just going to put the 5 with it. We're supposed to square that. What can we do with that fraction on the inside?
5 times 2.
5 times 2. Okay, so we get negative 6 over 10. Can we reduce that?
2 over
Negative 3/5 if you divide the top and the bottom by 2. Okay. Now what?
Square both of them.
Square the top, square the bottom. What do you get?
9 and 25.
9 over 25. Woo-wee. That's the number we're going to add to both sides of our equation. X squared minus 6 over 5x plus 9 over 25 equals,
I thought you had to do it before you squared it.
that's the next step. We are going to use that negative 3 over 5 though. 8 over 5 plus 9 over 25. Okay, so that's step 3. And this jump to step 4 is what's probably most challenging to everyone. Is that the left side becomes something squared and we got to simplify the right side. So what is in the parentheses on the left side? X minus 3 over 5 from up here. Okay, and then
From where? Oh,
from before you squared it, to get the 9 over 25, we need that number. And if you are more comfortable with just finding b over 2 again, you can, but I'm just letting you know you've already done all the work. Now we got to add these two together. What's a common denominator? 25. So if we make the bottom 25, what do we need to multiply the top by? 5, so that becomes 40. So we have, when you add them together, 49 over 25. Your calculator can do that for you. And it'll put it back in a fraction for you. Did you know that? The calculator? If you find an answer to a problem, it's a decimal. If you press math, enter, it'll put it back to a fraction for you if it can. Like if it is possible to be a fraction. Math, enter. Makes it a fraction for you. All right, step 5. What do we need to do? Square root both sides. So on the left side, we just get our x minus 3 over 5. What do we get on the right side? 7 over 5, what goes in front of that? Plus or minus, good.
And minus X.
Add the 3 over 5.
Oh, yeah.
So we get x equals 3 over 5 plus or minus 7 over 5. Well, I'm going to break it into the two parts.
Can we reduce it down to 10 over 5 and then 1/2? Is it not?
Well, we got to do them separately. Do the positive and do the negative, because they give you two different answers. So the positive, you're right, makes 10 over 5, which is 2. And what is 3 minus 7? Negative 4 over 5. So those are your two answers. 2 and negative 4 over 5. Those are the two places where this parabola crosses the x-axis.
This makes my brain hurt.
Yeah.
Just even not even saying it, just looking. Just trying to think.
You can do it. You got to be patient with completing the square, especially when you have fractions in there. Okay, just step by step. And if you have questions of where numbers go, you just got to ask. Any questions at all? Besides, why do we have to do this? Because that's the question I hate the most.
There's no point.
Yeah, I think there are some fractions on your homework.
You hate
Why
us.
do you hate that question? That question?
Huh? Because I don't know what you're going to do with your life.
Not
I don't-
this.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to use this in college, and now I teach it, but that's obvious.
Why would you torture yourself?
Huh?
So why would you torture
Like,
yourself?
everything you need to know it, is if
There's
you
a
became a
lot
math
of people who
teacher.
want to be
That's
teachers,
not
and I have
true.
no clue where they get that at.
Well, they get
It's not true.
some
Okay.
every break.
Okay, we have one more type of problem, and we kind of use the same steps, but we have a different goal. All the other problems, our goal has been to solve it, to find where it crosses the x-axis, the parabola. But now, our goal is to write it in vertex form. You actually had problems on your test like this, where it gave it to you in standard form, and you were supposed to write it in vertex form. And you could either kind of use the graph to figure that out, or you could, like h was negative b over 2a. Does that sound familiar at all? No? Well, first of all, let's just write down vertex form so we know what our end result should look like. A times, anybody remember?
X will be,
Minus h squared plus k. That's vertex form.
How nice.
How nice. All right. Step 1 is to set it up. We are only going to deal with one side of the equation. We are never going to touch the y. The y is going to stay. So when we set it up, look at what I do so you don't mess it up. Write your first two terms and then plus blank, and then your c term, and then minus blank. We are going to add and subtract the same number from the same side. Promise. It'll work. Step 2, fill in the blanks with our special number we've been using, b over 2 squared. So we got to figure out what that is. Well, what's b? 6, yeah. What's 6 divided by 2? 3, square that, you get 9, says everyone. Okay. So now, we're going to put that 9 and these two blanks. I'll rewrite it down below so we don't get confused as to what order we went in. So we'll write plus 9, plus 2, minus 9. Since we added and subtracted it, we haven't changed the value of the equation. We basically added 0 in, we just made it look how we wanted it to. Okay, we're almost done. You have one more step. Step 3. Write the first 3 terms as, same thing we used in completing the square. Whoops, not b. Write it as x plus b over 2 squared. So you're going to take the first 3 terms. We created a perfect square trinomial right there. So we have x. What was b divided by 2? The number before we squared it. 3. So plus 3. And then what's 2 minus 9?
But you had to put it over 2.
We put b over 2. So b was 6. 6 over 2 is 3. And that goes here. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. And that's your answer. That's vertex form. How nice is right. All right, now, just for the sake of remembering, what is your vertex out of that?
3, 7.
Close.
Negative 7.
He was closer-ish. You're right that there's a 3 and there's a 7. What are the signs? Negative 3 and negative 7. Remember that your h, k, you take it how it is, negative 7, but the h is backwards, so take negative 3. Remember that? H is weird and backwards. So you actually know out of this, you know your vertex is negative 3, negative 7. What is your y-intercept?
Negative 7.
No.
-3.
Go back up to the very top.
2.
2. Out of standard form, you get your y-intercept. Out of vertex form, you get your vertex. So you could plot this parabola based off of everything you just did. No. Okay. Any questions?
No.
All right, your homework for the regular classes is 22 through 31 all on page 289. Pre-AP has the same thing plus number 39.
What?